Welcome to February, everyone. For those of you who have joined us in the past, welcome back. For those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Joanne Carr. I'm the director of OASIS, which is our education department here at Omega Alpha. And we have, well, for the most part, 9 months out of the year, the first Tuesday of most months, of course, we have our consumer wellness series. And this morning, we're going to be looking at the benefits of using single ingredient formulas. Now, if you have any questions throughout this morning's presentation, please write your questions out in the chat or the Q&A. You don't have to wait till the end. You can make your comments or ask questions throughout the presentation. I do record every session, so you will always get a link to the recording the next day. So without further ado, let's look at the benefits of using single ingredient formulas. Now, I'm always talking about omega alpha and how what makes us, well, pretty much unique is that we use a combination of Western herbs and with traditional Chinese herbs. But today we're going to be looking at formulas that we make that just have a single solitary nutrient in them. There are benefits to using single ingredient formulas. We're going to look at that before we actually get into the products themselves. The majority of the products that we make are indeed multi-ingredient formulas because generally speaking, multi-ingredient formulas do support the body in a more comprehensive way, as you can imagine. We take a single ingredients, we add more to the mix, and we've got that much more support for the body. But there's a time and a place for using single ingredient formulas as well, so we're going to look at that. We're going to be looking, as you can see here, vitamin D this morning. We've got different types of, well, different forms of vitamin D are available to kids and to adults alike, different strengths. And we're going to be looking at noni juice and goji juice, which don't get the spotlight very often. So that's why I'm going to talk about them this morning. All right. So, what are the benefits of using single ingredient formulas? Well, if you use a single ingredient formula versus a multi ingredient formula, it gives you an idea basically which ingredient is working. So, if we do take something like vitamin D, for example, or noni juice or goji juice, if you're just taking that, then you know fairly quickly that that product is going to work for you or not. When you're using multi ingredient formulas, it's really difficult to know exactly which ingredient is working or which combination of ingredients are working for you. Now, it's easier to adjust your supplements and dosage to better suit your needs when you have a single ingredient formula, generally speaking. And also, from a cost perspective, even when we look at Omega Alpha as a whole, as a company, our formulas are very cost effective to begin with. But when you're buying a single ingredient formula, it makes it that much more cost effective to you as a consumer. Also, single nutrient formulas or single nutrient supplements, I guess you could say, allow you to kind of customize a regimen for yourself or your specific needs. And also, there's less side effects or potential for side effects when you're using a single ingredient formula versus a multi ingredient formula. And the proof there is that when you look at a cautions and warnings in that portion of our labels, if you're using a 7 ingredient formula versus a single ingredient formula, the 7 ingredient formula is going to have a larger or longer list of cautions and warnings involved. And that makes sense. It doesn't mean, it just gives you a general idea as a consumer as to where we have to be careful. So let's talk about supplementing the sun. Now, where I live, I live about an hour east of Toronto. So today it's cloudy and snowing. We know that the sun activates vitamin D through the skin, and when during the winter months or when there's not as much sunlight, our bodies, we need to get vitamin D from our food or from a supplement perhaps. So we want to supplement the sun, especially during those months where we're not seeing as much sunlight. So vitamin D is what we call a hormone-like substance that our bodies will manufacture, as I mentioned, when the skin is exposed to strong sunlight. Now, we have to be careful with the amount of sunlight that our skin is in touch with or basically exposed to, because we have to think about the UV rays and skin cancer and things like that as well, and that's why people slap on all of the sunscreen. But it's nice to get a little bit of sun. It makes us feel better. It does a lot for our mental state. But when we look at UV light exposure, the amount of pigment contained in the skin. People with dark complexions usually need more light exposure than people with lighter complexions. I'm a perfect example of that. I have very light skin tone, so I burn very easily. So it doesn't take long for my exposure to the sun. I have to put on sunscreen. Now, what you may or may not be aware of is vitamin D has four chemical forms. They each have a slightly different structure. So the type of vitamin D that you purchase will make a difference on whether it is absorbed efficiently or not as efficiently. So the form that is most active in humans is vitamin D3. Which is called calciferol, which comes from animal. It's from sheep lanolin. I'll explain that in a second. So the vitamin D that our bodies absorb the best is vitamin D3 versus vitamin D2 and so forth. So always look for vitamin D3 when you're looking for a vitamin D supplement that you want to take by itself or in combination with other supplements that you may already be taking. So the source of our vitamin D3 is from sheep lanolin. So what happens is when we shear the wool, when the sheep's wool, when we shear that wool, the oil that we get from that process is used to make vitamin D3, and that's where it comes from. So for people who are vegan, they would not be able to take our vitamin D3. Vitamin D also comes from coconut. It comes from other sources as well. So for if you're vegetarian, the animal isn't killed during the process. I wanted to kind of educate everybody on that particular point. But for vegans who don't consume anything that come from any animal products at all, any part of the animal, that they would not be able to take our vitamin D3. But everybody else is completely fine and safe and very absorbable. So getting into vitamin D, we have all of our vitamin D3 comes from sheep lanolin. However, we've got different kinds of vitamin D3. When I say we've got concentrated vitamin D and we've got non-concentrated vitamin D. This causes a little confusion with consumers. We get calls from time to time about this. The vitamin D, I'm going to show you what the product looks like as well. We're going to look at the features and benefits of vitamin D in general. But vitamin D3, and back in the day, they capped the amount of vitamin D3 that they suggested we take. They said, 4,000 international units is the most that we should take in a day. Well, that has changed based on scientific research, papers, scientific support papers that support the fact that we can take well over 4,000 international units, or sorry, 400 international units, I should say. 400 was the capped amount. Now, for example, in one drop of this concentrated vitamin D for adults, you are getting 1,000 international units per drop. So when we look at a concentrated vitamin D, people who would take a concentrated vitamin D are people who require more vitamin D, people with cancer or mental health issues where they need to up their intake of vitamin D3 because they're dealing with a specific health issue that requires more vitamin D in the diet or through supplementation. So if you just take one drop, and you would take, of course, you've got the dropper. You put the one drop into a little bit of juice, or you just put it in your mouth. You don't touch it to your tongue or anything like that. But one drop will give you 1,000 international units, just to give you an idea of how concentrated this is. You can mix it with juice or water. You can put it in food. Many people only take one drop a day. Some people might take 5 drops, again, if they're dealing with a specific health issue that warrants more elevated levels of vitamin D or amounts of vitamin D. Now, the adult regular, we have an unflavored version. So the concentrated version has orange flavoring. Now, some people may not want flavoring. They just want it au naturel, as the French say. So if you don't like, or if we have people that are allergic to citrus, so they may not want orange flavor, or you may not like flavored supplements, so you might just choose to get the unflavored. So you would have to take 1 milliliter of the adult regular unflavored vitamin D to give you 1,000 international units that one drop of the concentrated vitamin D would give you. Now, all of this is written on the label, so I'm not trying to confuse things here. Hopefully, I'm not going to confuse things. And if you are confused, please let me know, and I'll try to clarify it to the best of my ability. But again, there's different reasons for people taking different, whether it's flavored or unflavored, it all depends on their preference, and everybody is different. So basically, you've got a dropper, and you would bring it up to the 1 milliliter mark of the dropper, and that's what you would take to get your 1,000 IUs. You would need to take more than a drop. So it will suggest to take 1 milliliter per day, which will give you 1,000 international units, which is fine for a lot of people. Some people who need to take more can take more than that, of course. Then we've got our vitamin D regular orange, which for people who love the flavor, and our vitamin D is very cost effective. I prefer the orange flavor to the unflavored version, but it's all about personal preference. So I take I take the dropper, I bring it up to the 1 milliliter level, and that gives me 1,000 international units. And that's what I would take throughout the winter months. I don't take any more than that, but again, it will depend on the individual. I'll get into more detail when we get to the features and benefits slide. And you can mix it with juice or water. I just put it into my mouth. You want to avoid it touching your tongue because you don't want it to any bacteria to touch the dropper. But if it does, you would just clean it off with warm water. So then we've got the vitamin D concentrated drops for kids. Now, a lot of parents, grandparents alike, like the fact that it says for kids. A lot of adults don't like to just try and guess how much to give to their kids or their grandkids. My grandkids actually take this and they love the taste of it. The youngest one being 3 years of age, and he gets one drop a day, and he loves the taste of it. So you can again just put it into their mouth or mix it in with cereal or juice or whatever you like to do. But one drop will give that child 1,000, or sorry, 500 international units. So it's not as potent as the adult version. But you see here children and adolescents, 0 to 13 years of age, take one drop once a day. That's suggested on the label. And again, it does state vitamin D3 concentrated drop for kids on the label. And we'll see what those bottles look like very shortly. Now, this is to give you an idea. The bottles are different sizes, but the concentrated vitamin D's you'll find it's a bottle within a box. The vitamin D 350 ml for adults and the unflavored 120 ml, those are the two in the middle, and you will not find them in a box. It's just the concentrated versions of vitamin D. It's a bottle in a box, and you will see the box. On the box, it will tell you what to do. On the bottle, it will tell you what to do. But at the end of the day, vitamin D3, it is the best, most absorbable form for humans. Vitamin D3 is so much more than just for the musculoskeletal system. Vitamin D3 is good to help with calcium and phosphorus absorption, so calcium stays in the bones. It's good for our brain. It's good for our nervous system. Of course, we know it's good for our bones and our teeth and things like that, which is very important when we're looking at young growing children or highly active adults, or people who are dealing with osteoporosis where there's more porosity in the bones. But vitamin D is good for our immune system. So this is where we look outside of the box of just bone and joint health now. Vitamin D3 is good for so many things. Mental health issues. We have a lot of people that are increasing their intake of vitamin D3 along with incorporating it with essential fatty acids coming from fish oil, for example. There's a variety of different ways that we can support the brain. So if your memory's going, if you're starting to forget things, you may want to consider including vitamin D in your supplement regimen. But immune, respiratory health, we sold a lot of vitamin D3 during COVID. It's good for people who have respiratory or experience respiratory distress, asthma, or part of a cleansing formula for the lungs, osteoporosis, as I mentioned. And when we don't see the sun as much, on a day like today for me, if that were to continue on for weeks at a time, it'd get a little depressing. And I do find that when the sun is out, people's moods change for the better. You can only imagine what it would be like not seeing the sun for a week or two at a time. So for people who suffer from what we call seasonal affective disorder, vitamin D supplements the sun. As we saw earlier, it's not the same thing as being out in the sunshine, but it does make sure that you're getting enough vitamin D during the times of the year when the sun isn't shining as much. People with diabetes, vitamin D3 is really good at helping to manage our blood sugar levels, good for our heart as well. Heart disease is still the number one killer of women. Mental clarity, athletes, physically active individuals. If you're on the go all the time, vitamin D can help with our immune system and our energy levels. For those who don't get enough sun, of course, and acne. So skin issues like acne, psoriasis, eczema. Vitamin D3 has been known to be very helpful in situations like this as well. So we're looking outside of the box now on what vitamin D3 can offer for its health benefits. The fact that our vitamin D3 is in a liquid form, you're going to get quicker results whenever you consume a liquid versus a tablet or a capsule or a powder, even for that matter. And again, it's down to personal preference. I like the taste of the vitamin D3. Orange is my preference. I prefer that to the unflavored, but whatever your choices are, we've got something for everybody basically. Now we're going to look at phytonutrients, and we're going to delve into the world of phytonutrients. So phytonutrients is just a fancy way of saying nutrients that come from plant sources. So we're going to be looking at goji and noni juice, for example, which have been around for a long, actually, goji and noni fruit have been around, and the benefits we get from the fruit have been around for centuries. So phytonutrients are nutrients that come from plants. And when you think about it, the phytonutrients protect plant life from germs, bacteria, and other threats in the environment. So you can imagine, as we consume them, as we eat them or drink them, then that's going to protect us from the inside out. So there's more than 25,000 phytonutrients found in the plant kingdom nowadays. We get them from fruits, vegetables, legumes, herbs, nuts, tea, whole grains, different spices that we cook with. So they're everywhere. We get a variety in our diet, and we get them from supplements that we're taking as well. So they affect human health in a positive way, but they're not considered nutrients that are essential for life, like macronutrients, like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. But they are beneficial nonetheless, and many people don't get them. I always say, I talk a lot about antioxidants. When you look at the next time you eat a meal, it'll probably be lunch or dinner, whatever it might be. Does your plate have a lot of different colors? Is it colorful looking, or is it very bland looking? The more colors, the better. The more colors, we're getting more nutrients from, fruits and vegetables, from plant life. That's going to provide antioxidants or phytonutrients to our diet. Is going to protect our body from the inside out. So what we want to try to do, I always say this, is we try to eat the rainbow. So making sure that we're getting a variety of different colors on our plates when we are eating lunch or dinner, or maybe we're drinking a protein shake or whatever we might be consuming. We want to make sure we're getting a variety. I always say variety is the spice of life, especially when we look at different fruits and vegetables that we're consuming on a more regular basis. So, talking about phytonutrients, let's look at noni juice. Noni juice is a great source of antioxidants which help protect our bodies from stress. Now, stress, we know what stress is all about. We all have a certain level of stress that we're dealing with, some people more than others. Our body's always creating what we call free radicals or oxidants. Even as I sit here and breathe, as we breathe, our bodies are creating free radicals as a result of the respiratory process. And let's say you exercise, or maybe you're stressed out from something going on. Maybe it's work related. Maybe it's something going on with your family or your pet or whatever it might be. Our bodies are constantly creating these oxidants or free radicals. So this is why I always suggest to try to get antioxidants from the foods that we're eating and drinking. And noni fruit is a perfect example. It helps to fight against oxidative stress caused by free radicals. we can't avoid that. It's impossible to avoid. We can try our best, but it's never something that we're going to be free from. It's something that our bodies manufacture as the result of breathing, exercise, and things like that. Great for diabetes, managing blood sugar, great to support the immune system. Modern day scientific and medical communities have continued to study its healthful properties that have been long known and appreciated by the ancient healers. And a lot of our research comes from folklore, but also we look at scientific reports that support the benefits. Now, if you are a science geek, and I say this in the kindest way, if you like to see more science information or scientific info, I would gladly send that to you because I talk in general when we look at these wellness series, but we have scientific papers to support the health benefits of everything that we say in all of our literature. So noni comes in an apple flavor and unsweetened. Um, a perfect example, I love the apple flavor. I really don't like the unsweetened version, but if you like things again, like the French say au naturel, then you might want to go with the unsweetened version. But not everybody likes the taste of unsweetened, so we have the apple flavor for those individuals. Now, our noni fruit is wild harvested from the Amazon and it is organic. In case many people care about whether their beverages are organic or their food is organic. These are some of the key features of this particular phytonutrient or basically fruit. Really good for supporting our immune system. A lot of people will take it prior to allergy season or now when people are dealing with, colds and flus or they're feeling under the weather. I find when I take noni, I feel the immediate benefits of the energy boost. So if you're someone who drinks copious amounts of caffeine or drink a lot of, caffeine-based beverages like those energy drinks out there, and you want to limit or reduce your intake of these caffeine based drinks, then this would be a good place to start. To kind of get your energy levels up there so you can get through everything you need to do during the day. Some people will use it as part of a weight loss program because it helps with cleansing. And you can use it with our other cleansing formulas as well, like our lung, liver, and kidney cleanse formulas. That's the benefit of the Omega Alpha product line is you can mix and match the products together. But if you just want to try a single ingredient formula, noni juice is a great one for boosting energy and keeping your body cleansed on a more regular basis. So you would take 2 tablespoons once a day. You can divide that up. I usually take 1 tablespoon in the morning and one at night because that's the best way to take supplements is to divide the dosages throughout the day. But let's be realistic. If you're the type of person who forgets to take your supplements, then it's probably best just to take it all at once. And that way, at least you're getting the benefits of the noni juice, whether it's in the morning or at nighttime. So again, you can take it on an empty stomach. Some people will mix it with juice, some people will mix it with food, or now, I find for ease of use for a lot of supplements, what people will do is they will make a protein shake or a smoothie for themselves, and they'll just throw in everything that they're taking because at least they remember. They might line everything up on the counter and mix it all together, but at least they're ensuring that they're getting everything. And you can usually tell pretty quickly, especially from an energy perspective, that the product is working because people don't want to wait all day to notice the benefits of the supplements they're taking. And keeping in mind, when you take liquids, you're going to notice results more quickly than if you take capsules or tablets or anything like that. So noni juice again is one of the single ingredient formulas we don't talk about a lot, but because we are talking about the benefits of single ingredient formulas today, they can go a long way in supporting healthy energy, cleansing your body daily, especially if you've not been eating properly and you just want to have more pep in your step. This would be a great place to go, whether you choose the flavored or the unflavored. Now, goji juice. Goji juice is another wonderful juice. And for people who like to consume juices or people who like to juice, There are people who like to juice, but you don't have to go through all of that rigmarole of taking the fruits and through your juicer. It's time consuming. So we've done all of that for you. So it's very convenient. The goji is pure goji juice. We have left the fiber. The fiber has been left in it. So with the fiber, you get the added benefits of the cleansing and for people who are constipated and things like that. But goji juice is a traditional Chinese herb that supports our liver and kidneys, our organs of detoxification, improves eyesight. Now, for people who have ever used our Maculex product is excellent for people who have vision problems, or whether you want to use it in a preventative way, or whether you're getting older and you're having a harder time seeing. Of course, we don't want to replace, it's always good to see an optometrist or a health professional, but if you've been given any diagnosis with regards to your vision, the goji can be very beneficial to improving vision health. So goji contains 19 amino acids, including 8 that are essential for life, 21 trace minerals and antioxidants, beta carotene, vitamin C, B complex vitamins, vitamin E, which are all used and necessary for converting food into energy and protecting the body. So there's a lot of nutrients in just a little bit of goji juice. So the goji fruit you can drink, or you can find it in our Maculex for those that are dealing with vision issues. You will definitely notice a difference with the taking the Maculex. Now, the goji juice is again full of vitamins, minerals. It's pure goji fruit. We've left the fruit pulp for added antioxidants, vitamins, and fiber. Again, to aid with pulp. I know people, let's take orange juice, for example. There are people who love orange juice with pulp, and then there's others who can't stand the pulp. The pulp has its value or benefit. The pulp adds fiber. So we've added or included the fruit pulp. We haven't removed it because it has fiber, and that's going to help you with whether you're constipated, or it will help with regular bowel function. It will help with the detoxification process, especially if you're not getting enough fiber in your diet. It is wild harvested from the Himalayan mountains. It supports the immune system, just as the noni juice will, perfect for taking this time of year. Will you notice increased energy? Yes, you will. This is another wonderful juice that you can notice the health benefits of the energy boost fairly quickly. I usually, well, and everybody's different, but usually within 10 to 15 minutes, you'll notice an energy boost with taking a product like goji or noni juice. Again, looking at the skin, supporting the skin from the inside out, again, because of the fiber and the cleansing, we're going to notice a difference with our skin. So for people who suffer with acne or psoriasis or eczema, these are some of the situations where the goji juice can also be beneficial. Helping on a daily basis with natural cleansing. So we don't have to worry about taking too much or purging the system. This is a nice gentle approach, as is the noni. You can take these products together, not a problem, or you can take them one at a time. And again, the benefits of single ingredient formulas, you can take them one at a time. Oh, I notice a difference. You can easily tell which product is working when you start with one at a time. And that's usually what I recommend anyway. You can use it or divide the dose, like I mentioned with the noni juice. You can do the same thing with the goji juice, 1 tablespoon in the morning, one at night. Now, let's say, and I know people will do this, they'll get the product in their hands and they'll say, well, I don't want to just go by what's on the label. I'm going to take 4 tablespoons a day and see what happens. It is in our nature to experiment, of course. So what people will do is they might take more than what they're supposed to. And so the worst case scenario, if you decide that you want to kind of play around and experiment with these products, especially the goji and noni, is you might notice that your stool gets a little bit looser. And the worst case scenario is that you will develop a looser stool or diarrhea. Again, you don't have to worry about anything being fatal if you take too much. These products, worst case scenario, you have a looser stool or diarrhea, and that will be it. So if you have a fear of that, don't fear that, but everybody is different. Generally speaking, Dosing is based on 150-pound individuals. So some people may need to take more, some people may not need to take as much. You can play around with the dose accordingly. If you're a little bit fearful, start off with what's on the label or start off with a lower dose and work your way up if you're fearful of the ramifications or the side effects. So, some of the supplement strategies, and I think this is very important as well. Everything to life is a strategy, whether you're a sports fanatic, whether you're looking at a supplement regimen, whether you're looking at a weight loss program, whatever you're doing, there's always a strategy involved. So, I always like to end these presentations with the most effective ways of taking the products, how we deal with them when we're taking medications, and so forth. So, a lot of people will take vitamin D supplements on their own, but what happens if you're already taking a multivitamin? Many people are, and there's already vitamin D in it. Can you add our vitamin D to that? Absolutely, you can. As I mentioned earlier, usually you might get maybe 200 international units, maybe 400 international units in a multivitamin daily allotment. You can add vitamin D or vitamin D3 to that. Again, thousands of international units the body can tolerate nowadays and can accept based on what health issue we're dealing with. So, the reason I added some of our our bone and joint formulas is that many people are taking vitamin D with other joint support formulas. We've got magnesium in our line, liquid. We've got capsules. We've got powders. We've got CalMag with trace minerals. So if you're dealing with fibromyalgia, or cardiovascular issues, bone or joint issues, you definitely can take vitamin D, or vitamin D3 by itself, or you can combine them with other formulas. Whether you're taking them from our line, I can speak to products from our line specifically. I just wanted to let you know that you can add additional vitamin D3 to any of our multi-ingredient formulas to further support musculoskeletal or structural support. Noni and or goji can be combined with our other immune support formulas like our ImmuBoost or Immunol or Echinacea Golden Seal. So there's different ways to support the immune system. What I take when I'm feeling ill is going to be different than what you take when you're feeling ill. But at the end of the day, we need to find out what works for each and every one of us. I just wanted to let you know that you can add noni and or goji to multi-ingredient formulas. So that's the benefit of these single ingredient formulas is they can be taken by themselves or they can be added to multi-ingredient formulas that you may take. And when you find something that works for you, stick with it. I'm always trying to simplify things because it can be very overwhelming when you're trying to figure out what supplements to use. We're only one product line, but when you're looking at other product lines, we like to keep things pretty simple. So if you find something that works, please stick with it. I'm not trying to confuse anybody here. I just want to let you know that there is safety involved here with adding vitamin D or noni or goji. The formulas have been formulated that you can use them together safely. Now let's look at autoimmune issues. When we look at the immune system, there's autoimmune conditions like diabetes, for example. When you're looking at autoimmune conditions like diabetes or even, celiac, people who are dealing with celiac disease, it's always safer to go with nutrients that are not going to stimulate the immune system. So, echinacea, for example, can stimulate white blood cell production. So, even though echinacea is a natural herb, as we call it can be contraindicated for autoimmune disorders. I always like to err on the side of caution, and let's take something that we know is not going to stimulate white blood cell production, yet it will still support our immune system, like vitamin D. This is an example of where we could use vitamin D as for someone who suffers with any type of metabolic issue, diabetes, autoimmune. This is an option for these individuals versus going with echinacea or herbs that may stimulate white blood cell production. Now, supplements can be taken preventatively. So if a cold or a flu is going around in where you work or where you live, We can start to take these products before we actually notice any symptoms. So we want to take them in a preventative way. I do find most people do call us though when there's something already wrong, but they are safe to take preventatively. We highly recommend that. Short term or long term, for example. For people with certain types of cancer, I know a woman who was taking 5,000 international units of vitamin D3 for breast cancer. Now, again, you have to speak with your healthcare practitioner when you are going to increase those dosages, of course. We are not here to diagnose anything, but we are here to help if you do have a diagnosis, and we always suggest you let your healthcare practitioner know what you're taking supplement wise. If you're taking medications currently, you can definitely take our products. We usually recommend a 2 to 3 hour window, but I always say that we can work alongside medications when we do know what you are taking. We have a toll-free number that you can call, which is a wonderful resource, as I always say, for people to call. That number, again, you will reach me. You can reach out to me through email as well. I speak to many of you through email. I highly recommend that you do reach out if you have any questions. Again, this toll-free number is great because you actually get to speak with someone. You're not just going to reach a phone and get into a voicemail box where you're going to be going back and forth and getting frustrated. So there's always someone to help you at Omega Alpha. And that brings me to the end of this morning's presentation. Now, does anybody have any questions about this morning's presentation? If whether you have one now or you think of something later, you can always reach out to me. And you will get a link to the recording tomorrow, along with a copy of the presentation. I will also send you a coupon for 40% off for the month of February, where you can get 40% off all three of our product lines on a one-time offer through our online store. It's our way of supporting you and your use of our products, whether it's for your pets, your horses, or for yourselves. But I will send that coupon with the link to the recording tomorrow. And I want to thank you for joining me again this month. I know a number of you joined me last month, so thank you for coming back for the month of February. I wish you well. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and thank you for joining me this morning. It's really a privilege, and I'm very grateful to your ongoing participation. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.